He was distant, aloof, and cold. Yet, what we heard that day, the shouting, the threats, was nothing compared to what I saw later that night. That was when everything truly took a turn.
You guys weren't even 18 years old. You couldn't escape. You couldn't get out of there. There were so many times I tried to intervene. There was a lot of times.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone.
Would you be open to a plea bargain?
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent. And what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
Did three maids just bring down Diddy's empire by snitching to save themselves? Sean Diddy Combs, the king of bad boy, is fighting for his life in a 2025 trial, and the women who scrubbed his mansions are spilling secrets that could lock him away. Facing jail time themselves, they turned on him, and their stories are wild. Let's unravel this Hollywood bombshell.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts. When he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Do you still think that, because there is this public perception, that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case?
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case. In the criminal, I know that.
In the criminal case. In the criminal case, no.
Diddy's story starts in Harlem, clawing his way to the top with Bad Boy Records in the 90s. He launched Biggie, built a fortune with Kirok and Sean John, and threw legendary white parties that screamed power. By the 2000s, his Holmby Hills estate was a fortress of fame, hosting A-listers behind gilded gates. But beneath the shine, something dark was brewing, and it wouldn't stay hidden forever.
Now, as far as jury selection goes, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that both sides expect to have all of this done in the matter of 3 days. Now, given just how high profile this trial is, I was kind of stunned that they seem very confident that they will be able to seat a jury in that amount of time.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes. As his lawyers argue, the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So,
you say you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and forced. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
Lawsuits shadowed Diddy for years, over 70 since the 90s, claiming coercion and worse. Most got hushed with cash, brushed off as fame's price. Then Cassie Ventura's 2023 lawsuit dropped, accusing Diddy of years of control. The whispers grew louder, tales of wild parties, payoffs, and broken lives. By 2025, those whispers were screams, and Diddy was in deep trouble.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors."
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? Then how do you support him moving forward?
Y'all know what this is about. Put your hands up.
Now, Diddy's in federal court staring down trafficking, racketeering, and obstruction charges. A guilty verdict could mean life behind bars. The trial's a spectacle, called Hollywood's biggest, with X posts and TikTok tearing it apart. Prosecutors say Diddy exploited people for decades, using his empire to hide it. His defense claims he's a scapegoat targeted for being a successful black man. But 3 maids who flipped on him are stealing the spotlight.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades.
Isabel Serrano, Marisol Galvez, and Charmaine Grant weren't just maids, they were Diddy's cleanup crew, erasing traces of his secrets. Facing immigration fraud charges and years in prison, they cut deals with feds, trading testimony for a shot at freedom. Their accounts from inside Diddy's world are chilling, painting a picture of a mogul who thought he was untouchable. Here's what they revealed.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95 that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
Isabel Serrano joined Diddy's staff in 2015, vacuuming floors and scrubbing stains. But after late-night parties, her real job began. She'd sweep broken jewelry and torn IDs into biohazard bins, spray hospital-grade disinfectant, and swap hard drives in a basement vault. Bella kept a notebook, tracking special spills in a playroom under the pool cabana, stains that needed heavy chemicals. When Cassie's lawsuit hit, she realized those drives held secret recordings. She hid metadata on a USB in her apron and gave it to prosecutors. That data matched vault records, and Bella's snitch move shook the case.
Federal trafficking, racketeering, and charges beginning Monday morning.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting
secret
a
passages
plea offer.
linked service exits to a mirrored suite called Suite M. Bella cleaned it at dawn, finding champagne bottles and cushions shifted under cameras. Architect Marlon Delacroix's blueprints confirmed the tunnels, built to move guests without a trace. Bella described a keypad in a storm culvert, dubbed the gardener's locker, where staff wore gloves to avoid prints. Prosecutors say these weren't for safety. They were for cover-ups, and the maid saw it all.
She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge will
Marisol
oversee
Galvez
this
washed
trial
linens, but her
and try to
sheets
get
held clues.
Diddy to be released.
They came tagged with QR codes and guest initials like some covert hotel. She'd spot blood or odd fluids, ordered to soak them in peroxide and send them for destruction. When she questioned it, her boss waved her son's school ID, threatening deportation. Marisol stayed silent but snapped photos of the QR tags and logged guest lists. Her evidence linked linens to camera files, tightening the case. By snitching, she traded her fear for justice.
This is going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Are they gonna? Is it gonna go on for weeks and?
Oh,
months?
for sure, weeks. Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only
Charmaine
person
Grant,
I know of
managed pantry
who might
stock
be able
and
to actually
scents.
accomplish
She
that.
cycled out fragrance in the mirrored suite to mask strange odors. She also handled a pharmacy drawer with unmarked pills, gold ovals, blue rounds, found crushed after parties. Experts ID'd them as banned sedatives that cloud memories. Charmaine's darkest memory? A woman stumbling from a hidden elevator, vomiting, begging for help. Security hushed it, and Charmaine got cash to stay quiet. She started photographing pills, and her evidence now burns Diddy's defense. Her snitch deal was her escape.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things, into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some
The Maids
who
uncovered
are
a
going
tech
to be
web,
witnesses in
hard
this case.
drive
They
swapped
urged a judge
daily,
to
storing
remand him.
footage Bella thought was for parties. A GoPro crawl through the tunnels showed dirt walls turning to marble, ending at a vault door. Bella's phone caught Diddy's voice asking about drive swaps, with an aide saying, "Staff knows the drill." It was a machine, cameras, codes, NDAs, run by a man who thought he'd never fall. The Maid's testimony blew that apart.
Elaborate, sometimes days-long parties by coercing victims through drugs, threats, and manipulation. They claim to have video evidence, and some of the accusations echo details from over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs over the last 30 years.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's
Diddy
convicted.
through tunnels labeled Truth. Cat Williams quips about bleach on crime rugs. TikTok lawyers call it Epstein's sequel, though Diddy's team denies any minors were involved. X posts buzz with celebrity tape rumors, but prosecutors shut that down. Fans are split. Some see Diddy as a victim of the system, others a villain caught red-handed. The Maid's snitching fuels every click. Diddy's team fights back. They brand the Maids liars, chasing immigration deals to dodge jail. The tunnels? Just panic rooms. The linens? Party messes. They say Diddy's innocent, rejecting a plea deal, 20 years and his estate as extortion. In court, he sips water, foot-tapping as his lawyers push the narrative of a targeted icon. But the Maid's detailed logs and photos are hard to dismiss, and their snitch deals keep the pressure on. The jury spoke fast. After 11 hours, they hit Diddy with guilty on conspiracy, money laundering, and obstruction. One not guilty on witness intimidation didn't soften the blow. Bella's notebook, Marisol's QR codes, and Charmaine's pill shots sealed it. Jurors replayed Bella's audio and the GoPro tunnel crawl, seeing a system built to hide. The Maids didn't just snitch, they dismantled a legacy. The aftermath's chaos, revolts imploding with staff leaking auto-deleted chats about the Maids. Spotify buries Diddy's songs in low-traffic playlists. His estate's locked down, hazmat crews hauling evidence barrels. Civil suits pile up and $1 billion asset freeze looms. Tunnel builders face IRS heat and a grand jury's on permits. The mansion, once a party haven, is boarded up, a ghost of its glory. Bella, Marisol, and Charmaine are gone, hidden in witness protection with new names. Bella jumps at vacuum sounds. Marisol checks linens for bleach, and Charmaine sees tunnels in her sleep. They snitched to escape prison and ended up heroes. At sentencing, they spoke of fear and threats, earning Diddy 30 years and $180 million in forfeitures. Bella told a reporter, "He hid everything in tunnels. We were invisible, but we kept receipts." Diddy's fall is just the start. Hollywood's sweating, wondering who's next. The Maids who snitched proved nobody's untouchable, not even a mogul. But how many more secrets are buried in mansions, waiting for someone to flip? Keep your eyes open. This drama's only beginning.